Amsterdam is famous for its canals, its architecture, and its other stuff. But they do also have a handful of top-notch sports venues. Here are the stadiums and arenas of Amsterdam, Netherlands. Wagener Stadium. We are starting off with something we don't often talk about, a hockey stadium, a field hockey stadium. The Dutch are pretty good at field hockey, and they hosted the World Cup about a decade ago, although it was held entirely in The Hague, not the Dam. So it's not really relevant to this stadium. Neither is the fact that Australia beat the Netherlands in the final of that event, so I won't mention it. It was 6-1 as well, a pretty comprehensive win, but like I said, irrelevant. It did host the 1973 World Cup. Back then it had a natural grass field, but nowadays artificial is the norm. Understandable in a sport like hockey. Johan Cruyff Arena. This place is home to Ajax, the biggest club in the country, and fittingly it's the largest stadium in the country. Not just in terms of its capacity, but it's quite an imposing presence in a city with few tall buildings. Oh, and that's a depiction of the late Johan Cruyff, by the way, a Dutch football legend. The stadium is one of two in the country to feature a retractable roof, but unlike its Arnhem counterpart, this roof is translucent, which of course allows plenty of natural light to flow in. Well, at night time it doesn't for some reason. Whether under the sun or under the floodlights, that Ajax colour scheme is looking clean. Next door is AFAS Live, specifically the main hall called Black Box. It's exclusively a music venue, so I'm not going to say much about it. However, from what I read, it seems that Black Box can withstand a plane crash, which just seems remarkable. Also next door is Ziggo Dome. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the f*** is a Ziggo? Is it Pingu's zebra counterpart?
Ziggo loves to play. Ziggo likes to laugh all day. But now it's time to go, 'cause this is the Ziggo Show.
Unfortunately, this world-class arena is once more used mostly for shows rather than sport. Basketball just isn't so popular in this country. It's the clogs, you see, they just can't compete with the traction and cushioning that you get from modern basketball shoes. Regardless of what it's used for, it's a great venue. The exterior has nearly 1 million LED lights that tell you about Ziggo, which is a telecommunications company. That Ziggo Show thing you saw earlier was just a hallucination brought on by the secondhand smoke that is prevalent in this city. Olympisch Stadion. What does Olympisch Stadion mean in English? Only 7% of people can figure it out. If you can, you are a genius. Click here to take the test. It was in 1928 that Amsterdam hosted the Olympics, and this was of course the main stadium used at those games. Unlike most stadiums that are nearly 100 years old, this hasn't really changed all that much over the years. Actually, about 10 years after it opened, a second tier was added. However, that was removed in the late 90s, reverting it back to its 1928 design more or less, which includes a wraparound brick facade and of course this spire, which was a common feature at showpiece stadiums back in the day. You can see the Olympic cauldron up top. I couldn't talk about a Dutch city and not mention cycling, so I thought whilst it does have a tiny capacity, it was worth mentioning Velodrome Amsterdam. This is not an Olympic remnant. The Olympisch Stadion actually had a velodrome surrounding the running track back in the day. Not only did they have to race outdoors, but this was before Lycra was invented, so they really had it tough back then. Think of the wind resistance. Jaap Hall. Jaap Hall is named after Jaap Eden, a speed skater. And yes, we finally see an arena that does actually have a permanent sporting tenant, specifically the Amsterdam Tigers, a club that partakes in hockey of the ice variety. Frozen hockey, I think they call it. It's a pretty simple layout in here, and there's no video board or anything fancy like that, but that's alright. It's still a nice place to watch hockey of the frozen variety. Ice hockey, I think they call it. And those were the Stadiums of Amsterdam. Not too many, but not too bad for a city of around 1 million inhabitants. Please consider subscribing if you're new, and as always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.